So, Rat, what do you think of the Devil May Cry show?
I hated it. Thanks for asking. What'd you think of it?
Hey, that makes two of us. I hated it too.
When it was first announced, I knew it was going to be bad. But, like, the first Castlevania series was, like, fine. Like, I remember everyone liked it. Like, people had, like, their gripes with it and stuff. But, like, for the most part, everyone was okay with it. And, of course, as the Castlevania series kept going, people started having more and more problems with it up till now when they adapted Rondo of Blood, and people are like, this isn't even Castlevania anymore. And when we watched Devil May Cry, I was just like, this isn't even Devil May Cry. This is just the lady variety hour, but don't worry, we'll get more into that later.
Yeah, there's way. I hesitate to even call her Lady. I don't feel like this character was not Lady. This was Mary Ann Arkham.
She basically has no relation to the actual lady of the video games. I mean, we'll get into it later, but they even try to do something where she uses her weapon from the video games, her bazooka, and it doesn't even feel right.
She doesn't use it the way that she uses it in the games.
No, not at all.
Do you want to start from the first episode?
Yeah, let's start from the first step. That's easiest.
Just getting this out of the way, we will be spoiling the whole series. So if you don't want to, if you wanted to watch this without getting spoiled, definitely don't watch this. Don't watch it. We're gonna spoil the whole thing.
It's only 8 episodes. Just go somewhere other than Netflix, watch the 8 episodes, then come back.
I mean, if you haven't played Devil May Cry 3, just play that instead of watching this. It's better.
Read the manga or whatever, then play Devil May Cry 3. Have a couple sodas, maybe a couple beers, have some friends over, have a good night. It's going to be like 30 times better than actually watching the show.
I think you could currently buy the Devil May Cry HD collection on Steam for less than 1 month of Netflix, and you'd have a significantly better time just buying the HD collection than you would watching the Netflix show.
Considerably.
So yeah, episode 1, it was called Inferno. What do you think of that one? How it kicked off? And we got Wisecrack and Dante. What do you think of Wisecrack and Dante?
Oh god, man, I'm so sick of Deadpool.
They really did just make him Deadpool, didn't they?
I've seen some arguments online that in the video games he is just as wisecracky, but in the video games it's from a place of sincerity. Whereas in this show, it has that millennial writing style where none of it is sincere. Everything's kind of got an asterisk of unless it's not cool or just kidding, haha.
Yeah, I mean that's been the whole thing though, is that it's a lack of sincerity. And this wasn't this episode with the Sparta monologue. I don't remember exactly what episode that one was. I think that was episode 3. Yeah, people make the argument that Dante was just as wisecracky in the games, but we were just playing Devil May Cry 3, and the writing is night and day different. It's not even anywhere near the same.
Well, and just the perfect example of it, and you're right, by the way, the writing in the games is so much better. In the games, when Dante makes a wisecrack, it comes from a place of confidence. It comes from, even in 3, which is canonically the first on the timeline in the video games, even though the manga does come first.
Yeah, but as far as the games, he's the youngest in 3.
Yes, exactly. But he still has the confidence of, yeah, I can do it, so whatever. And to that point where in the show, the first wisecrack he does, I can't remember exactly what he says, but he says something. He follows up with, oh, sorry, that was a bit cringe. Hold on, I'm much better at this. Let me try again.
No, he said, if I remember, it was like, this is where I'd usually crack a one-liner, but fuck it. He said something like that.
No, he's a lot less sincere than that.
And then he made some kind of joke about Skeletor.
I think it's because the very first demons you see in the series are supposed to be kind of references to the basic enemy type in 3, where they're like the skeleton guys with sights.
Yeah, but he was like, oh, Skeletor sure hasn't aged well since the 80s.
Yeah, it almost kind of feels like something he might say in the games, but it's not quite there because it's a pop culture reference.
Yeah, Dante doesn't make pop culture references. I mean, I guess you could argue the Michael Jackson dance was a pop culture reference, but he's not like, wow, I was really dancing like MJ, wasn't I? He doesn't say that.
Wow, this reminds me of that pop singer.
Yeah, because they don't like directly allude to Michael Jackson. It's just he's just doing his dance moves.
Yeah, if you don't know, you don't know. Yeah, it's just a mess. And then obviously it's revealed that the woman's baby is the liquidy demon. I don't know what you would call it, the plasma demon.
It's like a shapeshifter.
It's just some weird gelatinous doppelganger kind of enemy that takes on the form, which later on he kind of ruins a twist that I kind of caught, and I was like, really? Like, what's the point of this? Where in I think later on in this very episode, he comes back disguised as Virgil.
Yeah, that was the first episode.
Yeah, and it's like, okay, he's disguised as Virgil. So this would imply that he met Virgil. And what's weird is that Dante even recognized him as Virgil, because it's not like he came back as child Virgil. He came back as like adult Virgil.
Well, I think he even says some kind of like, well, you know, you kind of look like my twin brother Virgil, but he wouldn't look like that nowadays.
He has something like that. And
even though like it's literally how he looks in the, like we see him later in the series, and that's literally how he looks.
I forget, in the actual games, does Dante think Virgil is dead until he meets him in 3?
I mean, 3 was the first one. I don't remember. I mean, he meets him like right at the beginning of the game, more or less.
Yeah, maybe it's in the manga. I don't know, but it just it kind of felt weird that Dante throughout the entire show was like, "No, my brother's dead. It's whatever."
Well, just like he doesn't acknowledge that he's the son of Sparta.
He doesn't know.
Well, he doesn't know, but he knows that he's the son of Sparta. Yeah, in the games, like, and I know this is like a later episode, but he's like in denial, like, what? I'm not a demon. I've just got all these superpowers. Sparta, who's that?
I'm just cool.
But also, like, the tale of Sparta is something that is known to people, but I guess not to Dante. They made Dante an idiot.
Dante's a massive idiot in this series, and it's really obnoxious how the plot very clearly just kind of happens at Dante. He doesn't really feel in control of his own life.
Well, he doesn't feel like the protagonist.
If anything, Mary Arkham is the protagonist of this series.
Yeah, they made her like Mary Sue Arkham.
Considering she basically wins in the end. She gets almost everything she wanted. She's the one who has a character arc.
We'll get to the ending in a bit.
Yeah, they also introduced Mary in episode 1, I believe. Maybe episode 2.
I think she was in episode 2 is when we first see her. So we can move on to episode 2. I mean, then episode 1 just kind of sets everything up. Also, they put Enzo from Bayonetta. I think he was in one of the DMC mangas too.
Yeah, he's a tiny, fat Italian man, which, I felt seen.
Right? But I think he looked cooler in Bayonetta.
He did. I don't hate him, though. I think he's fine for what he was. He's just kind of the scared, way in over his head mission giver who got way too rich doing something he's clearly not qualified to do. But he's just kind of, he's kind of like Buggy the Clown, honestly, from One Piece.
I in a way, yeah, you could tell. I guess he fails upwards a bit, but
he fails upwards a bit. Like, he keeps getting captured, but he keeps getting away because he just always happens to know the right people or know the right thing to say. All
right, so episode 2. If you had to say, well, what do you think episode 2?
If it was a lot worse than episode 1 because of the introduction of, I'm not going to call her Lady for the rest of this.
Mary. She's Mary. She's not Lady.
Mary Arkham.
We're not going to soil Lady's name with this character.
Well, excuse me, it's Mary.
At no point, I'm just going to spoil this now, at no point in the entire series does she ever say, like, oh, don't call me that name. I hate that name. I hate my father. Like, later on, Dante says, like, hey, what do I call you? And she just says, I don't care. And it's not because she hates her name. It's because she hates Dante.
Yeah, there's kind of one of the running things. It seems like the series doesn't like Dante as a main character.
No, the series hates Dante as a main character because he's a straight white male.
Which I think that's been kind of a trend in like a lot of Netflix series and stuff. And I think it happened in the Castlevania series where like the Belmonts got sidelined. I could be very wrong about that. It happened in the He-Man Netflix series where He-Man basically got sidelined. And it's like this humiliation ritual where they're sidelining the, you know, the traditionally strong male protagonist for, again, like a strong female character.
Especially because, there's one more thing I wanted to say about episode 1 that we didn't acknowledge, but I want to finish this point. They kind of soft introduce Mary, and one of the characters says, well, they're the strongest dude in here. So they're also already using masculine language to refer to Mary, and it was just kind of confusing to me. I was like, what? Like, why are you calling Mary a dude? Like,
I didn't remember them calling Mary a dude. I'll have to check that. I mean, I believe you.
Yeah, they do. They don't say chick or late or. Honestly, it would have made more sense for them to go, they're the strongest lady in here if they didn't want to use, gendered pronouns for whatever reason.
Yeah. But like that was the thing, like in the games, Lady was strong but still very feminine. Like her fighting style is very agile.
Very agile. She's constantly moving her legs. She gets into like splits a lot where she can better rearrange herself to put enemies at a disadvantage while keeping herself at an advantage. It makes her a very cinematic fighting style that the show just did not capture. And we'll get more into the fight scenes later because the fight scenes right now are mostly just Dante shooting people.
Yeah, but even then, like if you compare, so there was the scene where there's in episode 2, there was all the mercenaries that come into Dante's house or his apartment or whatever. And it's very clearly supposed to be like a reference to the beginning of Devil May Cry 3, where all the demons attack him, like right at the beginning. But the choreography is like night and day, like worse than Devil May Cry 3. And like, I understand that like Devil May Cry 3 is like one of the greatest games of all time, like, understandably, but that you can't have better choreography than a 20-year-old PS2 game? Like, why? How did animation go down in quality?
Yeah, especially because like the animation quality itself isn't exactly like peak or anything.
No, it's super stiff.
The animation is so stiff. Everyone's so rigid.
Yeah.
It's never fun because. So what's the point of adapting a Devil May Cry game into an animation if you're not going to keep the combat flashy and all over the place like it is in the games, where Dante is constantly, moving around, jumping in the air, shooting, then slashing, and super fast motions.
Yeah, definitely wasn't flashy. That's like, if there's one thing it wasn't, it wasn't flashy.
It's as Yahtzee, the YouTuber reviewer, called the genre spectacle fighters.
Yeah, I think he was the first one to coin that.
Where it's like, so where's the spectacle? So where's the spectacle? There's no spectacle. It's just a Deadpool fight. Honestly, the fight didn't even really feel like a DMCA fight until like the literal final episode, where Dante has to not get hit.
And even then, that like it still felt very stiff.
It did. It still felt extremely stiff.
Yeah, like at its most, and I guess you could make the argument, oh well, it's supposed to capture the combat from the games and not the cutscenes. But that's a cope. That's pure cope.
That's pure cope. I want the cutscenes.
If you're going to adapt Devil May Cry, it should look like basically just 20-minute episodes of cutscenes from Devil May Cry. I would expect nothing less.
I haven't gone back and watched the original anime series, so I can't comment on it. But just from the visuals, the old anime looks much closer to what the DMC cutscenes in 1 and 3, and even 5 to an extent, were going for, where it's a lot kind of grimier. Because the worlds these settings take place in are not fun.
No, I mean, it is the Resident Evil DNA is very strong in it.
Very strong Resident Evil kind of feeling. The Devil May Cry games were very of their time, and that's fine. This isn't really a review of the games, but it's just to kind of give the audience a kind of a reference point to what we're talking about in the visuals, where the demons were very supposed to be scary. Most of the demons in this show don't even look scary.
No, they look goofy more than anything. Especially the humanoid demons that are we'll get into later. The Malachites, I think they call them.
Yeah, the Muslims.
Yeah.
Basically.
I mean, it's such an we'll get into the politics of it because it's so insanely on the nose. Like, it's not even like, obviously I disagree with what it's saying, but the fact that it's not even trying to be subtle with what it's just basically just spouting politics at you.
Even like, I think like normie reviewers are like caught on to like what it's actually trying to say. And when you have normies understanding your stupid message, you know you ham-fisted it a little too much.
Yeah, like propaganda has to be subtle. And I would prefer that there be no propaganda at all.
Obviously.
That's the thing. Like, if you're I don't know quite how to say this, but like it's not only is it pushing propaganda, it's pushing unsubtle propaganda.
It's not even really saying anything that, like, nothing unique. Like, wow, killing civilians sucks. Okay. Wow, the Middle East is kind of a shithole. Okay. Like, wow. So, enlightened.
Yeah, again, we'll get into the politics of it a little later.
So just to kind of get back on track, before we go to episode 3,
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to say one more thing about episode 1 that we haven't talked about because we've just been talking about Dante because, sorry for assuming Devil May Cry would be about Dante. The Rabbit Man.
The Rabbit, yeah, the Rabbit, who was a character in the DMC 3 manga. He
was in the manga, and that's fine. Honestly, the Rabbit was fine for the most part. I liked his voice acting. That's another thing we haven't touched on, the voice acting.
The voice acting was very hit or miss.
There's only like 3 good voice actors in my opinion. The Rabbit Man, Dante, and the Vice President.
Yeah.
Everyone else is whatever.
And well, I don't know, because that's the thing. Like, I don't know how. I guess because there is some good performances, I always wonder how much of it is the direction and how much of it is the actual talent of the voice actors. Because I've heard, good voice actors give poor performances and bad voice actors give good performances, and it kind of hinges on the direction, like the voice direction.
I want to believe in this instance. I always want to believe it's the direction. Because I don't like to assume people are bad at their jobs.
I mean, I do, but
well, voice actors specifically.
I just kind of assume everybody's incompetent, like the whole way down the pipe. But again, I know like some of these people have been in better stuff and have delivered better performances in this. I mean, even Johnny Young Bosch as Dante. Like, I thought he wasn't really good as Dante, but he's great as Nero in the games.
That was the other thing I want to say. I said Dante was good. But he's not Dante.
No, I mean, he's literally acting as if he's Nero.
I honestly think, and you kind of brought me onto this, I really do think that this series was originally written with Nero as the protagonist, and then they switched it to Dante.
I could believe that. I mean, there was kind of a theory early on when, like, the first trailer came out, and people were kind of coping, and I thought, I didn't really fully believe in it, but I thought, oh, well, this could be an interesting way to go about it. Is if it's actually set after DMC 5, and Dante and Virgil are stuck in hell, and basically it's about Nero taking on the role of Dante, pretending to be Dante. Like, that's why he didn't have Ebony and Ivory. That's why he's kind of awkward in the Dante role, because it's and he's got Nero's voice because he's actually Nero. But no, that's not what we got.
Oh yeah, Dante doesn't have Ebony or Ivory in this, does he?
Nope, they're probably saving it for season 2 or something.
And like, even Dante in episode 2 of him like getting his sword was so unceremonial. It's just like, because in the whole first episode he's just using 2 guns, and it's like, okay, well, where's his sword? Oh, maybe he just hasn't gotten his sword yet. And then he goes back to his apartment and he just has his sword. He just didn't bring it with him for some reason.
He definitely doesn't fight like Dante. I know that much.
It's like, why didn't he bring his sword? And then it's not like a moment where like he picks up his sword and he's like, oh, this is like one of my father's swords or whatever. No, he just picks it up, puts it on his back, and just doesn't acknowledge it at all. They just keep talking. And it's like, well, what's the point? I don't get it.
There's kind of no point to most of it, really.
And also, obviously, the very first scene in the series is the Vatican getting raided by thieves and all of the guards getting murdered.
When the first line of dialogue is the rabbit complaining about Americans, or like calling Americans like war hungry.
It's even worse than that. The first line of dialogue is, this is awkward.
Wait, was it really?
Yeah, and he doesn't say but he says, well, isn't this a little awkward?
Oh, you're right.
And then he goes into the dialogue, into the
anti-American dialogue.
The anti-American dialogue where he says Americans are stupid, war-hungry, gun-loving,
yeah.
Idiots who just go after worthless trinkets while he's holding a golden cross.
Oh, that's right.
He's like, oh, the real, yeah, guys, because he doesn't think religion is bad.
Supposedly the director, like writer-director, he said, like, he's gone on Twitter and said that, oh, this isn't anti-religion, anti-Christian. Like, he said that, but, like, I just don't believe him.
So what happened was someone had tweeted at him about how they hate that he keeps going on about religion bad, and he responded that they're not really saying what he's saying. Like, they're taking it out of context, or they're straw-manning him, or it's just, that's not what he's saying. But then you actually watch Castlevania and Devil May Cry, and you're like, no, you're very clearly saying religion bad.
And if he's not meaning to say it, like, he sure is doing a really bad job at not meaning to say it.
It's like, dude, get a proofreader or something.
Like, if what he's saying isn't what he means to say, I don't know if he needs like a better writer or better editor or something, because what it comes off as what he's saying is just very bad writing, just all around the board, like ham-fisted bad writing.
Yes, awful. So we then get introduced to the anti-demon crew controlled by the government.
Yeah, Darkcom.
Darkcom, as I call them.
.com. And the evil vice president, who's like some kind of cross between Dick Cheney and Mike Pence. Real topical, by the way.
Yeah, for real. Real topical. And he's a devout Christian who's always talking about how God has a plan and we need to kill the demons for God, and everyone has a mission, and God will kill you if your mission's done, but God will always spare him because he has to do God's work. And they never prove him wrong, by the way, which is very strange.
It is always strange. Well, he's the kind of villain, and I've noticed there's a lot of this kind of villain in a lot of modern shows and stuff, where on face value, nothing he says is really disagreeable, but because he's the villain, he's saying things that a lot of people would agree with, but you're supposed to dislike what he says.
Yeah, but that's what I'm getting at, but you're right, where it's like he'll start spouting off all this stuff on how we gotta kill all the demons in the name of the Lord, but he never gets any kind of comeuppance.
No, and maybe they're saving that for season 2, I guess, but...
Probably. But later on, there's a scene where he falls out of a plane, and you just see him praying, and then he's just fine, and he even brings it up later on in the finale, where he's like, yeah, I fell out of a plane, but God saved me, so whatever, I'll do whatever I want. And it's like, I mean, he's right.
It would be insane if this is some kind of 4D chess twist, and, like, it's actually, like, super pro-Christian, and, like, God is real, and, like, actually wipes out all the demons, and, like, the USA are the good guys at the end.
Yeah, for real. Which I don't even think God, capital G, was like a plot point in the Devil May Cry series in the video games.
I don't think Christianity, I mean, unless you're counting Bayonetta, as part of the DMC canon, which it is.
Oh, that's right. They are in the same universe.
Yeah, Devil May Cry and Bayonetta are in the same universe. So unless you're counting Bayonetta, because Bayonetta has like angels and stuff, so that is, I mean, technically like the heaven realms and the like heaven and hell are both equally fucked in this universe.
Well, no, heaven's fine. It's just because Bayonetta's a witch.
Oh, that's true. I guess that's why heaven's evil. Well, I guess they're not evil, but yeah, you're playing as a witch in Bayonetta. But yeah, that's the thing. So there is heaven, but only on the Bayonetta side.
Yeah, which is kind of funny. Oh, that's right. That's crazy because Bayonetta turns into like a jaguar or a puma, and there's the shapeshifter guy in Devil May Cry who turns into a puma. That's cool. Sorry. Guys, the video games are cool.
Some of the characters from like some of the bosses from Devil May Cry 1 reappear in Bayonetta as well.
But they never really mention it in the Devil May Cry half, where also another big thing that we hear in episode 2 because they bring the Nigerian scientist.
Oh yeah, I forgot about him.
the smartest man in the world, a guy from Africa.
Yeah, he's the Musa of Devil May Cry.
Musa, yeah. They never say he's from Africa, but his voice tells all.
Yeah, he's got the accent. Do you know the way, brother?
Yeah. To be fair, I like his voice acting.
Well, he was funny. I don't know. I mean, not funny, but he was fine.
But
it's a common trend, you know. That of course,
it's just some non-white group is actually the smartest in the world, and it's like, okay, whatever. And then, so they explain that, oh no, the demons, they're not demons from hell. They're people. They're humans who crossed over into this other dimension and just evolved to look like demons. And it's like, what? Why are you trying to humanize the demons? They don't get it. Like, that's not in the lore of Devil May Cry. In Devil May Cry, they're demons from hell.
Yeah, the whole point of Devil May Cry. I mean, there's a few demons that have some humanity to them, but they're few and far between. And like the whole point is that like Sparta was like one of the good ones, and that he woke up to justice, and like he was like the one good demon. And there's been a few like demons throughout the series that have been kind of okay, like Trish and stuff, but like, for the most part.
Yeah, but they're like way after.
Yeah, like, but canonically, like Sparta was like the first and kind of the main one that was like, you know, not just inherently evil. Well, not even evil, but just like, they were like feral animals.
They're the id.
Yeah.
They're just animalistic. They want to kill, to eat.
You know, but again, no humanity. That was always the underlying thing.
Like, they had some level of intelligence, like some of them, not all of them, but some of them did, the rare ones, where it's like...
Yeah, some of them could speak.
Yeah, you had, like, their king, there were a few that could speak. Mundus, their king.
Obviously Mundus, yeah. Or Mundus. Sometimes, it kind of, the series is not really consistent on if he's Mundus or Mundus. Because I think he was Mundus in DMC 1, but I think some of the other ones he was Mundus.
Yeah. Trish is really the only other example of a good demon I can even think of in the series as a whole, besides Sparta. And that could just be a reference to the fact that Trish looks exactly like Dante's mom. Well, she's made in his mom's image.
Yeah, and I think the whole thing is that because, like, the humanity of Dante's mom, Eva, is, like, her likeness is part of what gives Trish some humanity.
Yeah. And also interacting with Dante, but yeah.
Yeah.
But so they introduced the Sparta lore at this point, and I'm gonna let you kind of go into it because I think you probably remember it a little bit better than I do, but how just horrible the recounting of Sparta's sacrifice was by Mary.
So I think this was in episode 3 that this happened with I think this was like the start of episode 3 when they did this. And so in the beginning of Devil May Cry 3, Lady tells the story. It's like the opening cutscene tells the story of Sparta, and recounts the story. I think the beginning of Devil May Cry 1 also tells the Sparta story, but Lady tells it in the beginning of DMC 3.
Well, it's because the recounting of the story is like the crux of the series.
Yeah, this is the scrolling text at the beginning of Star Wars or whatever. Like, this is kind of like
the series only happens because of Sparta's sacrifice.
Yeah, it's like it's kind of, it starts every game. And I think even in DMC 3, if you let the game, like the title screen, like you leave it on the title screen, it then goes to the opening cutscene and just plays the Sparta story. It's that important. But in this, the way that Mary, and again, she's not Lady, she's Mary, tells the story, she's like, well, the story of Sparta, blah, 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 whatever the fuck, who cares? It's like, who cares? This is the most important, this is like literally the most important line, like, block of dialogue in the entire series. What do you mean you're just blah blah blah, who cares over it?
She even says, like, he could have done a little fucking better.
Yeah, she can't go one line. I think it was every line of dialogue there, she either says fuck or shit, one or the other.
It's very clearly just supposed to emasculate her and make her feel more like a man in charge, because you can't have a woman in charge. Lady can't just be a badass like she is in the video games, where she's strong-willed, but she's a woman of few words.
And that's the thing, she is badass in the games, and so is Trish. Trish is badass too. Like, the series has badass women. So like, and they're not just badass, but they are still very feminine. Then they're, by trying to make them masculine characters, it makes them kind of less cool.
Mm-hmm. It feels like they really wanted to not have Mary be a woman, because her being a woman doesn't add anything to her character. Like, there's nothing about her being a woman that really matters or does anything. I mean, I guess that's fine to some extent, but it's like, I don't know.
It would have been funny if at some point during development, if they batted around the idea of making her a dude. I wonder if that was ever thrown around.
I wonder, yeah. I could believe it.
That would have been, I could believe it too.
Then, yeah. And that might be why they never really refer to her as Lady throughout the entire series. Dante calls her Lady like maybe twice.
Yeah, and it's super forced. It's like they're just trying to, just like, it's like more of an Easter egg than anything.
Yeah, because the first time he does it, because I kind of remember back to when he does it in Devil May Cry 3, because the crux of her character, and they try to keep this in the show for some reason, even though they don't actually go all the way with it, where her father is like this evil science man who creates this serum to become strong like a demon, which this doesn't make any sense if they're not really demons from hell, but whatever.
Yeah, that does kind of go against its own lore, yeah.
It's just the whole thing where there's like some demons who just aren't evil or aren't strong. It's just dumb, and it doesn't really work.
Because he had like a demon arm that he like basically fused himself with, like he injected it, like its essence into him. But why did it make him turn evil and feral, if the whole point is that the demons aren't inherently evil or feral?
Yeah, it's like, I don't know.
Well, and on top of that, like, I thought it was weird, because in the games, Arkham he's got the same color eyes as Lady, and so, like, Lady obviously got her eyes from her father, where in the TV show, her mom has the two colored eyes, but her dad doesn't, and it's like oh, she can't have any traits from her dad or something. I thought that was, like, just kind of a random thing to just change.
It is, because Mary's whole character in 3 is that she hates her dad.
Yeah.
And she wants nothing to do with him. She hates her name because her father gave it to you. And he even like stresses that in the game where he says, why don't you, use the name that I gave you? She hates her name.
She wants nothing to do with her dad. And that's the thing, is like, she abandons her name that was given to her by her dad. She abandons her last name that came from her dad. But the name that she doesn't abandon is her mom's name, because her rocket launcher is named Anne.
Mm-hmm. And she doesn't abandon Dante's name because Dante's a positive force in her life. Well, and honestly, Lady's character in DMC3 was probably supposed to contrast Dante's in a way to make them dual protagonists, because Dante has mommy issues and Lady has daddy issues, which is another big aspect the show doesn't really do, is that Dante in the show has daddy issues. He doesn't really have mommy issues like he does in the games. All anybody ever wants to talk to Dante about is his dad, and Dante's constantly in denial about who his father is and that he's a demon. And, oh no, don't, my dad, don't talk to me about my dad. And it's just like, they just keep talking about his dad. And it's like, I don't know, like even the humans are constantly talking to Dante about his dad. And that it was always kind of a big thing in the games where humans would always talk to Dante about his mom, whereas the demons would only talk to Dante about his dad.
Yeah, but now you've got humans that are caring about Dante's dad.
Yeah. And it's like, it's just so bizarre. Because like I was saying, the whole Dante and Virgil having mommy issues are such huge cruxes of their characters. Because Dante thinks his mom died protecting him, and Virgil thinks their mom abandoned him to protect Dante. That's the reason they fight, because of Virgil's misunderstanding and Dante not being able to process what actually happened because he feels guilty.
Well, the whole thing with Devil May Cry is it's essentially like a family soap opera.
It really is, yeah.
It's a shonen telenovela.
Where all the cool demon stuff is like secondary, and we're just watching these two brothers try to work out their familial issues.
I mean, that's the thing, like all the demon stuff is kind of secondary to like all the family drama. Like it literally is a game series about family drama.
It even affects their children, aka Nero, who he himself now has daddy issues.
Well, yeah, which again, if you're going to write a character with daddy issues, they should have just made a Nero show. But if they made the Nero show, nobody would have watched it, because, I like Nero, but who cares about Nero?
Normies wouldn't have watched it.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like the general audience, the normie audience would not care about Nero.
Even though I would say most Devil May Cry fans do actually like Nero.
Well, Devil May Cry fans like Nero. Yeah, I like Nero. But if you showed somebody Dante, I think the average Joe on the street knows who Dante is. You show him a picture of Dante and you're like, oh yeah, that's Dante from Devil May Cry. If you show them Nero, if you show them Nero from 4, they'll probably think he's Dante. And if you show them Nero from 5, they won't really know who he is.
Honestly, if you show them Virgil from 5, they probably wouldn't even know who he is.
I think people know who Virgil is.
Yeah,
He's relatively iconic. If you sit his ass down in a plastic lawn chair, everybody will recognize him.
That's fair. Which, by the way, I always thought he actually did that in the games because I haven't played 5 yet. So I thought he actually sits in a plastic lawn chair in the game.
That would have been funny.
It would have worked.
I think there was even a brief period of time that like I thought, because I saw all the memes with him in the lawn chair, and I thought that was actually, they're like, oh yeah, Dante goes and sees him and he's just sitting in a plastic lawn chair. But no, I replayed the game not that long ago, and it's like, oh wait, no, he's not in a lawn chair. That was a meme. There was like a mod, I think.
It's a really good meme.
It's anytime a meme gaslights you into thinking that it was canon is always funny.
So getting back to the show, Dante can't have anything in this show.
No, he's constantly losing. He's a total jobber.
He's a total jobber. His voice is Nero. His theme song is Nero's.
Yeah, that's in a I think that's like episode 5, which we have a funny story about episode 5, but yeah, they play Devil Trigger, which is Nero's theme for Dante.
It's not even like Devil Trigger from Devil May Cry 5. It's this weak, like alt rock, alt metal, whatever you want to call it. I'll let you kind of discuss the music because you're more of the music guy than me.
It's like it's the movie trailer version of Devil Trigger. Like when you see like a movie trailer and they take like a popular song and they do this really slow, somber version of it. That's what this was. It's the movie trailer version of Devil Trigger.
And there's really no pomp and circumstance for it either the first time Dante goes Devil Trigger. And they even call it Devil Trigger in the series, like not Dante, just the Rabbit Man just calls it, he just says, oh, Dante has to activate his Devil Trigger. And it's so forced.
Yeah, and I could be wrong. I just don't think they use the term Devil Trigger in the actual series. Like, I don't think they say it out loud. Like, obviously it's in the game, like it says it like, in the menus and stuff.
Yeah.
But I don't think that, unless maybe it's mentioned in 5, I think they just call it transformation or transforming. Like, I don't think that they actually call it Devil Trigger.
And it's not that I have an issue with the name Devil Trigger. It totally works. It's great. It just feels forced when someone has to say, Dante, activate your Devil Trigger.
Yeah, Goku, go Super Saiyan.
Dante, go Devil Trigger. It's like, ugh. It feels like something Dante should have said. But honestly, knowing this series, it would have been like Dante doing it and then looking at Enzo going, like, Enzo, I did my Devil Trigger. And then Enzo would have looked at the camera like it's the fucking Office.
Yeah. So, and then Dante's constantly getting captured.
Constantly. He's constantly getting beat up and shit on.
He's getting beat up by Mary. He's getting captured. He's like in like handcuffs more than he's like actually fighting. Like there's more scenes of him in handcuffs than fighting, I think.
Mary kills more demons than Dante.
Yeah, that is true.
Think about that. Dante kills less demons than the other protagonists.
I mean, I guess she is like the secondary protagonist, but
She might as well be. I think she has more screen time than Dante.
I think she does have more screen time than Dante, which is sad.
It really is.
Well, they get captured, and then they put then they get captured by demons, and they get put on a plane.
Yeah, and they're like wrapped in like weird flesh vines, and it's like, no, guys, these aren't demons from hell. They just have weird flesh vines.
Yeah, it's kind of inconsistent. Like, and I think what it's like, there's some. I think even the rabbit says it. Like, there's some good demons and bad demons, but you have to accept the bad demons. You have to accept the bad demons in with the good demons.
Do you want to just get into the allegory?
We're almost there. We're almost there.
Okay.
It's just I'm getting frustrated with the lot of the demons in the main villain cast, which is weird because the main villain cast are still the demons, which is I don't know, inconsistent writing.
They're literal demon terrorists. They use the word terrorist a lot.
Yeah, they do use the word terrorist a lot. But yeah, they're captured on the airplane.
And the Rabbit Man's like, oh, Dante can free all of you if he uses his Devil Trigger. And Dante's like, I don't know what that is. And then he just happens to look at like a stewardess who just happens to look exactly like his mom.
Yeah, apparently she was like a politician. She was supposed to be, she was supposed to be like a senator or something.
She just looks exactly like Dante's mom for no reason.
Watch, it's gonna turn out that she's Trish in season 2.
God, I hope not. Wow, you're that lady from the airplane.
I swear that's gonna happen. I'm gonna cry if that's real, but I have a feeling that's what's gonna happen.
And so Dante ends up killing one of he kills the red guy. I don't remember what they're called.
Agni and Rudra.
Yeah, he kills Agni.
But they have heads. So in DMC 3, these guys are bosses, but they don't have heads. And the whole thing is that their heads are on the end of their swords, which is kind of cool. Like, they're basically headless guys that, their heads are on their swords. But they just have normal heads in this.
Are they Cockney in 3?
I don't think so, no.
They're just like weird, like Cockney British dudes.
Yeah, they gave them British accents, which is weird. I mean, it's kind of, I don't know. Nobody has their regular voice in this, so like,
yeah.
I to split hairs on the accents and stuff. Nobody talks like how they're supposed to talk, and especially like Virgil not having his voice actor really stung, because nobody sounds like Virgil except for I think Dan Southworth is his name.
Yeah. Oh, we'll get into Virgil later.
Yeah, he's at the end, but
Mhm.
yeah. So, anyways,
Oh yeah, spoiler guys. Virgil's alive,
yeah, Virgil is alive.
and they spoil that when the transformation demon turns into him in episode 1.
You know, there's probably people who think that's like well written foreshadowing too.
It's not. It's not. Which this raises a weird plot point where he says, "Oh, I can only turn into people so long as they're still alive." And when we first see him, he's disguised as a baby. So that means he took this baby and then turned into it and then just put the baby somewhere.
Yeah, but we see the lady with the baby,
Yeah, she has her baby back, and it's actually her baby.
and it's never explained.
It's never, like, where'd he put the baby?
Maybe she left it at home, and I don't know. She left it in a hot car.
She left it in a hot car. Yeah. She left it in the chemical cabinet under the sink.
Yeah, left it in the bathtub with a toaster. No, that's impossible because he could still turn into the baby.
Exactly.
But anyways, yeah. Then they blow up the plane. The rabbit blows up the plane. Or no, I think was it the rabbit who blew up the plane? I don't know.
No, it was Indra.
Yeah, Rudra had like a detonator.
Yeah. He had a detonator, he blew up the plane after Agni got killed because Dante went Devil Trigger for 2 seconds.
Yeah, Devil Trigger is so weak in this, and so obviously, like in the games, the whole point of Devil Trigger is Dante got stronger, and he recovers health. Like that was the whole thing that Devil Trigger does for you.
And also, in the show, Devil Trigger's like a rage power-up, like he's the freaking Hulk.
Yeah, but he doesn't get stronger when he's using Devil Trigger.
Not particularly.
Like imagine if like Goku went Super Saiyan and then he still sucked.
Yeah, I know, right?
Well, not that Goku sucks, but like, like if he's fighting somebody, he's like, I'm gonna go Super Saiyan, and then he still can't beat him.
Yeah, but in the games, Devil Trigger isn't a rage power-up. It's like an emotional thing that happens, and he unlocks it.
Well, it's unlocked by, like, basically being like an interaction with a devil arm.
Yeah.
So like Dante unlocks it by getting stabbed by Rebellion, I think is the sword, in like his fight with Virgil. Virgil stabs himself with Yamato, I think, is how Virgil gets it.
Yeah.
And then I know in Devil May Cry 4, Nero absorbs the Yamato, and because he's only 1/4 Sparta, like he wasn't able to use full Devil Trigger, but then, putting like that with his emotions and kind of like, embracing his family in 5 as being part of the same family as Dante and Virgil, then he could go full Devil Trigger.
But again, it's not a rage power-up. It's supposed to be like a character, like a progression of a character arc.
Well, it's kind of like tapping into basically Sparta's energy in a way.
Yeah. What I guess I'm trying to say is like Devil Trigger is supposed to kind of mean something.
Yeah.
Whereas in the show, it's just a rage boost. And it's like it doesn't mean anything.
So, and then episode 5, we skipped episode 5 initially.
We did. We skipped episode 5.
And then we didn't realize. Because we stopped at episode 4 after the end of episode 4, and I thought that we left at episode 5, so we watched episode 6 and didn't feel like we really missed anything. And then we watched episode 7 and then also didn't really feel like we missed anything, but there was that nagging feeling in the back of our heads that like, hey, did we skip an episode? And it's like, no, we saw everything. Like, I didn't feel like I missed anything. And then we went back and saw episode 5, and it's like, oh yeah, we skipped episode 5. But there was like nothing of substance in there.
And we didn't really miss anything.
Yeah, we didn't miss anything.
It was just characters talking in circles about the villain's plan that we already know. That's all episode 5 was.
Netflix has said something that basically all their shows have to be dumbed down so you can be playing on your phone while watching them and still get the gist of the story.
And Lord knows I was playing on my phone while we were watching.
You were playing on your phone while we were watching? I think I was playing on my phone by the end of episode 8, I think.
Because it's just like, I don't care.
Yeah, that was more that, like, I just mentally tapped out. Like, it wasn't so much, like, but there's people who were like, oh man, this was peak, and they were on their phone the whole time.
Yeah. What episode 6 is the worst episode?
By far. So episode 6, it like tells the rabbit's backstory.
It tells the rabbits and Mary's.
And Mary's, yeah, as like kind of
Like
they're supposed to draw parallels to them, but
They don't.
No, and they make the thing with the rabbit is that they make like his backstory. It's a whole different art style. It's like looks like a cross between like the Owl House and Rick and Morty.
Yeah, it looks really bad and doesn't fit at all. And they make him a human who, which by the way, I'm sure you can guess, he's reading a book at the start. It's Alice in Wonderland.
Well, and then he just randomly stumbles into a portal to hell.
To the demon realm.
Yeah, demon realm. Yeah, Makai, they call it, which is not a thing in the games. That it was only ever referred to as the demon realm or hell.
Mm-hmm. And he just happens to find a portal, and he looks at the Alice in Wonderland book, and it's like, wow, it's like Alice in Wonderland. What is this, Forspoken?
Yeah, I gotta follow the rabbit hole.
I gotta follow the rabbit. This can't be fucking happening. So he goes in, and for some reason they have this weird plot point where it's like, oh, the air in the demon world is unbreathable because of all the wars. And it's supposed to be I assume it's supposed to be some kind of reference to like mustard gas or something.
Well, I think it's just kind of just in general, it's hard to exist in like the miasma of, war and crime.
Yeah, because I think we should just rip the Band-Aid off. The demons are Middle Easterners.
Yeah, we'll at the next episode, the rabbit does his monologue, so we'll talk about all the political themes and everything. We talk about the next episode because that's the one where they really rip the Band-Aid off on that.
And it's just the story where he meets these nice, helpful, lovely demons who take him in, and they raise him like one of their own, to the point where he refers to himself as a Macayan or whatever they call themselves. He doesn't refer to himself as human.
Yeah, he even calls like the Makai hell, like he says, oh, that's my world.
There's no dialogue either. There's just like some song playing in the background. And by the way, the music, none of it works.
Genre-wise, it doesn't really fit what they were going for. Like, they pick a lot of like pop punk stuff, and like they use like Rage Against the Machine at one point, and they use Papa Roach. It's weird. Like, when I think Devil May Cry, I mostly think like industrial rock, or like I think in DMC5, like Dante's theme is kind of more like metalcore, death metal kind of style. But this was all like straight like pop punk and nu metal. And they use Limp Bizkit in the opening, which doesn't fit either.
It does not work at all. Like, no shame to Limp Bizkit, it's a good song, but it just doesn't work.
Yeah, but it's not Devil May Cry. Like, and if they wanted to use licensed music, like, I don't think licensed music would have been the correct thing to do. Like, they should have just used the OST from the games, but if they're gonna use licensed music, at least get stuff that sounds like it would belong to Devil May Cry. Like, that kind of, like, industrial kind of rock, or like some more like kind of like drum and bass jungle techno kind of stuff, kind of like what was in the soundtrack for like Devil May Cry 3 and 1.
Yeah, but and then like Lady's backstory is just basically, yeah, her dad is evil. Anyway.
But yeah, not as evil as he is in 3 though. Like, a demon attacks his family, and he's not able to protect them, except a train hits the demon and kills it, so he doesn't have to protect them, but he felt like he was weak.
Yeah, it's just like, okay. And then, oh wow, he became the demon and he kills his wife. That's never been done before.
But see, the whole point, in 3, he sacrifices his wife so that he can become a demon. Like, he sacrifices his wife for demonic powers. And that's a lot more powerful.
Yeah. In the show, he just injects himself with a serum and just becomes Nosferatu.
Yeah, and then kills his wife immediately.
And just kills his wife.
And then he attacks his daughter, and then his whole house catches fire, and then we don't actually see him die, so I wouldn't be surprised if they're actually leaving him for season 2.
I think there's like a scene where you can kind of see like a fireball like leap out of the building.
Oh, is there?
Like, there's no way they're gonna kill off Arkham like that. They gotta use him.
They're gonna try to use Arkham in season 2, 100%.
And then the demons and then Lady ends up joining Darkcom. They're going around killing demons, and then the Rabbit Man develops technology to take them all to the human realm. And they get there, and the Darkcom people like surround the demons, which kind of makes you question how long the Darkcom program's been around. It doesn't really make sense, because the whole Darkcom thing, they kind of make it seem like it's something they created because of the rabbit, like they didn't know demons existed.
The whole point is that like Sparta sealed the demon realm off from humanity in this universe, but that there's still demons that slip through from these little portals that creep in. So I think that's why Darkcom is there.
In the second episode, I thought that they had created Darkcom because we see them kidnapping a bunch of demon hunters, and I kind of assumed, oh, well, they created Darkcom from the demon hunters that were willing to work with them, and Darkcom is like a new thing. But no, it's been around for a while, and I guess the government has just always known that demons existed.
Well, and they also, one of the demon hunters they capture is Lucia from DMC 2.
Yeah.
And she's actually a demon, like...
Yeah.
And they didn't kill her, like... I don't know, that's kind of a weird thing to happen.
Yeah, it's just, okay. It's just like, and then they end up killing all of the demon people, and Lady learns in like episode 5, like, no, demons are people, they're just humans who are trying to escape for a better life.
Yeah, she's in their like compound, and she wanders into like a friendly demon house, like their apartment.
Family.
Yeah, like a demon family.
When you play the actual games, you're just like, this is nonsense. The demons are supposed to be, animalistic. They like kill people, or they're evil. Like, it's like goblins in Dungeons and Dragons or whatever, where it's like they're either animalistic or they're just evil.
Yeah, and they're like trying to humanize like demons.
Yeah, and it doesn't work because I've always hated the whole like trying to do a race allegory, but then not just using humans. Well, I guess then it wouldn't be an allegory, but you know what I mean. Like in David Cage's like robot game, where it's supposed to be like a race allegory between like robots and humans, but like they're robots. I don't care.
It doesn't. Yeah, that's the thing. It doesn't work.
It doesn't work because you can be racist against robots or demons or whatever, or orcs in Bright, because they're not human. Like, they're not humans. It doesn't work. I don't know.
Yeah, that's the thing. Trying to do any sort of racial allegory, but like, but it's not using the actual races. I don't think it's ever once landed like that. It never worked. It literally never works.
Because the reason the racism, because it's a human hating another human just for looking or acting different than them. And it's like, yeah, you can say, oh, well, that's small-minded or whatever. And whether you agree with it or not isn't really the point. It's just that it makes more sense when it's a human versus human.
Yeah, but if it's human and non-human, like, humans can't be racist towards, wolves, because wolves aren't human.
Yeah, it's like, you can say, oh, maybe we shouldn't have nearly hunted wolves to extinction, and I agree, but at the end of the day, they're still wolves.
Yeah, but like, if somebody's like, oh, I hate mosquitoes, that doesn't make them racist.
No, and you wouldn't really look twice at them because, mosquitoes unintentionally do kill a lot of humans.
Yeah, but maybe there's good mosquitoes out there.
I always think back to Goblin Slayer, where a good goblin is a goblin that never leaves its hole.
Yeah, and which is, again, and like in Free Ren too, like the whole point is that demons are inherently evil, and they try to pretend to be like humans, and literally the moral of Free Ren is that demons cannot coexist with humans. They
literally even give tons of examples in the show where it's like, the demons will ask, what's a father? What's a mother? I don't know what love is. Oh, well, why'd you pretend to love them? Oh, well, so they wouldn't kill me.
There's multiple times throughout Free Ren where there are, where we're shown that, like, demons that try to either fit in with human society or are let into human society but they show that their true nature is to be the demon. It's kind of not too different from the tale of the frog and the scorpion. The scorpion asks the frog for a ride across the river. The frog asks the scorpion, "Are you going to sting me?" And the scorpion says, "No, I'm not going to sting you. I promise." And then the scorpion ends up stinging the frog, and the frog, as it is drowning because he got stung by a scorpion, and says, "Well, why'd you sting me?" The scorpion says, "It's in my nature."
They try to do this in Devil May Cry, where it's like, oh no, there's some good demons, which makes Sparta's sacrifice completely pointless.
Yeah, because the whole point is that Sparta was the good demon. He was like the one.
He's the one who awoke. They literally say he awoke.
Yeah, he awoke to justice.
He awoke to justice. And it doesn't work anymore.
Well, I mean, the series even kind of shits on Sparta.
It does.
It is like, well, Sparta ruined, he built the barrier that kept all these innocent, Makaians, the demons, in hell. Like, he prevented them from coming to, like, the real world.
And they're always like, what is this justice he did that he awoke to? This quote-unquote justice.
So next episode, that the rabbit gets... I guess the whole point, I guess we kind of glazed over this, is that, like, just like in the games, Virgil and Dante have two necklaces that are the key to opening the gate to hell. That was a plot point in 3. You put the pieces together and that opens the gate to hell. But except in this, it's that it was the, what sealed the people of Makai or, whatever, Makai in to hell and prevented them from coming over. Well, the rabbit wants to open it up, and what it results in is literal open border propaganda. The whole point is that, and then the rabbit gives this whole speech where he basically pushes for the good of open borders, and even says that it doesn't matter if terrorists and criminals come through, because it's a small price to pay for letting innocent people come in and basically reap the benefits of polite society.
It's a mess. Where Mary or Dante literally tell him, hundreds of thousands, if not millions of humans will die because of it. And the rabbit basically just shrugs and says, "Oh, well."
Yeah, he says, I think exactly what he says is that, oh, it doesn't matter if it, ruins a few generations. It's like a small price to pay.
Yeah, it's nonsense. It's like, it's literal. Yeah, it's like you're saying, it's just open border policy where it's like, yeah, we should just let all these refugees in because their place sucks. And if you let in serial killers, sexual assaulters, murderers, all these terrorists, it doesn't matter because you're also letting in good ones. So you should just willingly let your country become worse because people in another country can't fix their own problems.
Yeah, like literally the whole point is that, like, in his rant, is that, oh, we need, it doesn't matter, if your country becomes worse, we're already way off, and it balances out. But that's not how that works.
Not at all. Because their home will get even worse because all of the good people are leaving. All the quote-unquote good people are leaving. So there's only bad, and I'm calling them people, they're demons. It's their race allegory or whatever, I don't care.
Yeah.
It's like, so only the bad people are there. It's just going to get even shittier.
Well, and we literally see in the show that, like, hell is ruled by, like, Mundus. Like, there are evil demons, so, like,
there's tons of them.
But the rabbit even says, like, oh, it doesn't matter if the evil demons are going to come over. Like, he literally says, like, he acknowledges that, yeah, the evil demons are going to cross over, but that's a small price to pay.
So nothing's really getting resolved. It's basically just, oh, the good demons had to live in hell, so let's just ruin humanity, because fuck it.
Because the rabbit gets the 2 amulet pieces and is able to open the portal to hell. And then in, like, a split second, now, like, the sky turns, like, blood red and, like...
Only evil demons are crossing over.
Well, that we see, but yeah, But like everything turns into like this hellish, like, landscape of hell. And there's like hellspawn demons flying around in the sky, and like demons are like eating people and like destroying stuff. And it's just like, yes, this is just
totally
a small price
worth
to pay.
Yeah.
We could, you know what? Yeah, it'll suck for a few generations, but don't worry, it'll be better for everybody. We just need to let in all these, giant flying hellspawn.
All these demon terrorists.
Yeah. Well, these aren't even like terrorists. Like that's the thing. It's not like they act like terrorists. They're monsters. They're literally monsters.
Yeah, they're literally just monsters. Which again, the allegory doesn't work because it's like, are demons people or are they not people?
Well, and it kind of wants them to be both. It wants them to be people and not people at the same time.
Yeah, it doesn't work.
Well, and then it ends with last episode, and obviously they beat the rabbit. It doesn't matter. Like I was kind of zoning out at this point.
He turns into the Red Hulk.
He literally turns into Red Hulk. Yeah, and he's got a weak point on his chest, and they're shooting at it the whole time, and only Mary, like at the very end, is able to land one shot on it. But they've been like, Dante and Mary were like shooting at it the whole time, and Enzo just like randomly sacrifices himself for like nothing.
Literally nothing. Literally just sacrifices just so they don't have to use him in season 2.
Yeah, because I guarantee you it's so that they could set, I think, Morrison.
Yeah, and it's just like, I liked Enzo just fine. He didn't bother me, but it's just like, I don't care that he died. We also glossed over. Yeah, we also glossed over Ladies' Team getting killed, but who cares?
It didn't matter. None of these characters mattered.
They're not characters. They're just nobodies. They don't, like, none of them even have names.
They probably do have like names in the credits, but
I don't care. If it's just in the credits, I don't care.
Yeah, like literally not like there's this whole team, this like whole like Suicide Squad team. It was like, did you ever see the second Suicide Squad movie?
I didn't.
So in the second Suicide Squad movie, like in all the trailers, there's a whole team that's like set up at the beginning of it. And then like in the first like 5 minutes of the movie, they literally kill all of them. And they're like, oh no, yeah, those aren't the main characters.
But yeah, and that they have like a Suicide Squad of like characters for Mary to bounce off of. And she loves these guys. They're like her family. I think she recalls them her family at one point.
As much as like I'm glad there was only 8 episodes of it, nothing really had room to breathe.
No, nothing had room to breathe.
But I'm not saying I wish this was longer, because I wish this was shorter. But, but nothing in here was fleshed out.
They try to make you feel bad. I don't care about these people. Even the white guy. I don't care.
Even the white guy, yeah.
Oh,
then there was the one guy who was randomly working for the rabbit.
Yeah, God, I hate that guy so much.
They even did the thing which is really funny, because Adi Shankar said that he wanted this to be just like the Dark Knight trilogy, and they even shoot him before throwing him out of the plane, just like in the one scene in The Dark Knight Rises.
His daughters are literal MacGuffins.
Yeah, but they're not even important.
But that's what I'm saying. They're not characters. They just say, oh, we have your daughters. But they never introduce the daughters. They never make you scared that the daughters are in danger, or make you care that he's like, oh, he's a dad trying to protect his family. No, he's just portrayed as an idiot.
They never give us a reason to care about any of these characters, really. Like, especially not like Dante.
No, because Dante just keeps failing.
And even so, at the end of the whole thing, they beat the rabbit. The day is saved. They close the portal to hell. The military actually stole from the guy who was working for the rabbit the portal to hell gun. Like, it was like the Rick and Morty portal gun. And they were able to open up their own portals to hell. And then they start nuking hell and like killing all the demons.
Just like our favorite president, they start carpet bombing the Middle East.
They start carpet bombing the Middle East. Yeah, you thought it was George Bush. It's actually Obama.
Obama.
But what's really funny, so they used Green Day's American Idiot. When we were watching it, I muted the audio and played the Team America theme.
And it made it so much better.
I honestly think that they should have just licensed the Team America theme for that, because it would have been like, it would have made the same point. Like, it would have been like if he wanted it to be ironic and that we're not supposed to root for them, because that's kind of what Team America is. Honestly, Team America did this story better than this did.
Yeah. And they like flashing images of the American flag everywhere, so like it's not subtle.
Yeah, but they show like soldiers like, you know, like taking selfies with like dead demons, and like, you know, they show like a nuke literally dropped on a bunch of demons and they get eviscerated.
My favorite part is the military Humvee with the demon skull on it. Like
Yeah,
deer. Like it's a deer.
like it's a deer. But I think we're supposed to be like horrified by it, like, oh no, how dare they? But like, I was just like, yeah, America, yeah, get them demons.
Get them literal demons. It was so cool. It's the best part of the whole show.
It would have been cool if we weren't supposed to like it. You're not supposed to like root for it.
Yeah, I know. And then they introduced that the main villain of 2 is going to be relevant.
Yeah, the main villain of Devil May Cry 2 is like going to be in season 2.
Yeah. And then they introduced, oh my god, Virgil. Dude, Virgil was so bad.
So he's like, I don't know if he's either brainwashed or if he's just like working for Mundus, like on his own free will. He doesn't seem like he's brainwashed or anything.
He's just working for Mundus for some reason, which doesn't make any sense.
Especially not at this point in the series. Like, if this is supposed to be, you know, DMC 3, pre-DMC 3.
But he literally comes in and he saves a bunch of demons from jail. And he literally says, I am the storm.
Yeah, he's like, there's a storm approaching. I am that storm.
The storm. And I nearly bashed my head into the wall.
And then they start playing, if that wasn't just like enough of a reference, they literally start playing Bury the Light.
But it's not even really Bury the Light. It's like a pressy pop version of Bury the Light.
It's the movie trailer version of Bury the Light.
It's just like, it just doesn't work.
No, it at no point does it work. Like none of that's the thing. None of this works. The animation doesn't work. The story doesn't work. None of this, like, I don't think any of this lands. And the fact that it's getting, I mean, I've seen enough people, like, you know, it's not getting no negative attention. Like, I've seen a lot of videos of people critiquing it, but you know, it is getting relatively high praise, which is crazy to me.
I really do think it's just normies who haven't actually played the games and don't really care.
Yeah, it's just like Netflix slop.
Yeah. And just to kind of finish off the story, so Dante defeats the Rabbit Man in the end, and then him and Mary are sitting on some bridge. It's not supposed to be they're supposed to be in New York, right?
Yeah, they are in New York. It might be I forget what it's called, like the Brooklyn Bridge.
Yeah, they're on the Brooklyn Bridge. And, you know, Dante's like, all right, well, you know, hey, what if we teamed up and, you know, we go kill demons or whatever? And, you know, I was thinking at the time, oh, that's kind of cool. You know, they're going to team up for season 2. And then Mary, like, injects him with a thing that knocks him out. And she's like, no, you're too dangerous to be kept alone. I'm just going to knock you out and turn you into the government and steal your amulet.
Yeah, and then not only that, they literally freeze him in carbonite.
Yeah, they essentially freeze him in carbonite, and they put his amulet in the freaking cold storage at the end of Indiana Jones.
Yeah. So it's like
Dante literally can't win. Even in the very end of the series, he still loses.
Yeah, like, and like they didn't have the Devil May Cry moment. Like, the devils never cry. Like, that's like always like the line at the end of the game is like, the devils, you know, devils may cry, devils never cry. But they don't even like I don't know, maybe that's a stupid point, but
Even Mary says jackpot at one point.
Yeah, she does. When she lands the finishing blow on Rabbit, she gets to say jackpot.
Yeah, and it's just like,
like basically Dante feels like sidelined. Like I said, like it feels like a humiliation ritual. Like they made Dante not cool, and the whole thing with Dante is that he was always cool.
Mm-hmm.
And he was like effortlessly cool. Like even like he was, and the kind of like Dante in 1 and Dante in 3 are very different characters. Just because I mean he's supposed to be a lot younger in 3, but like they still are. They're both cool. You know, they're like Hideki Kamiya, when he created Dante, he wanted a very cool character, and he was kind of inspired by like Super Sentai stuff, and wanted like just a cool action hero kind of guy.
Which is also probably why Leon has so much of that in Resident Evil 4.
Yeah, I mean, Leon and Dante are very much cut from the same cloth, and a lot of like Leon's kind of one-liners are very Dante-esque. I could see Dante saying the bingo line.
Where's everyone going? Bingo? God, I love Resident Evil.
But so yeah, Rat, what would you rate it out of 10? I know what I'd rate it. What would you rate it?
I give it a stop.
Stop out of 10.
A stop out of 10.
Yeah, I'm giving it a. I'm gonna say this. This is my first numeric review on the channel. I'm gonna give it a 0. I'm feeling a strong 0.
I'd give it a 2.
You'd give it a 2? Okay. I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Just for the vice president. Just for the vice president.
Yeah, that is true. I mean, the vice president, played by Kevin Conroy, rest in peace. Which is that if that he died in like 2022, I think, or 2023. So he died like 2 years ago, and that tells you how long this whole series has been in the can.
So if season 2 isn't already done, he's not going to be in season 2.
Well, that's the thing, is they announced season 2, but it also says coming soon. And if they still have Kevin Conroy in it, that means that season 2 got greenlit a long time ago.
I guarantee it did. Netflix is infamous for this, I guess would be better, where they just greenlit stuff before it even comes out.
I can believe it.
So they can use it as a marketing material where they're like, look, the show is so popular, it got greenlit for a second season.
I will say the only saving grace for the whole thing is that the Steam numbers for Devil May Cry on the Devil May Cry HD collection on Steam have gone through the roof.
Yeah, so people are actually playing the games.
People are actually playing the games, and I want to believe, yeah, like it hit an all-time peak of like 7,600 people, which before that it was like a peak of like 500 people. So, I mean, I want to believe that some number of people are playing the HD collection and then realizing that the show was like dog shit, but...
Also, it sparked Devil May Cry 2 discussion, which is not what I had in my bingo card.
Yeah, people are kind of going back and be like, maybe Devil May Cry 2 wasn't that bad.
And then you got people on the other side who are just like, no, stop coping, it's bad. And we're not gonna touch it because that's a landmine of opinion.
Yeah, I'm not going into. I mean, you know, I'm not gonna talk about DMC 2 really, but I think I've even seen some people bring back discussion of DMC Devil May Cry, the remake or the reboot thing from like 2011 or whatever, or 2012, whatever that was.
Yeah, DMC.
And I will say that DMC Devil May Cry, it was I would almost say it was more. It deviated more from the source material than this, but it didn't, and it felt pretty disrespectful to the source material in a lot of ways. But it was so different that, like, the issue with the Netflix show is that it's trying to be like the source material, but it's like disrespectful for it. Where at least DMC Devil May Cry is very much being its own thing, for better or worse, I guess.
It feels more like a Metal Gear kind of plotline, to be honest, where like the main antagonist is like a news reporter slash politician, and there's like a government conspiracy going on in the background.
Well, yeah, to like poison people and stuff. I mean, it's basically like a cross between like Bill O'Reilly and I think this was before. I don't remember if this was like before or after Senator Armstrong. But but
Yeah, I don't know what else to say. We're glossing over stuff, but like a lot of the stuff
it doesn't matter. And again,
a lot of the stuff we didn't talk about is a lot of stuff that just doesn't matter.
Yeah, I mean the whole thing like literally doesn't matter. Like there's no reason to watch this.
There's really no point. You really should just play the games.
And if you've already played the games,
just play it again.
Like it, as far as like to me, like a series that felt like it captured the spirit of Devil May Cry was Kill la Kill. Like,
yeah,
like if this was done by like Studio Trigger with like Kill la Kill type animation, I think it would have been really cool. Like, I mean, obviously, in a world where, well, because Netflix got Trigger to do the Cyberpunk anime, so if they got Trigger to do the Devil May Cry anime, well, I mean, I'm saying anime, like this would actually be an anime because this show is not an anime. It's written by a Westerner, animated in Korea, not an anime.
Mm-hmm.
But if they actually wanted to do a Devil May Cry anime, if they got Studio Trigger, it could have been really cool. Like concept and like if they wanted to just do like a balls to the wall, crazy action, high octane Devil May Cry anime, they could have done that. But that's not what this is. And that's never what this was going to be.
Studio Trigger really likes Devil May Cry. I'm just kind of realizing that.
I mean, yeah, Kill la Kill was just straight up ripping off Devil May Cry. Yeah, because in Kill la Kill, though, like Ryuko and Satsuki they're literally just Dante and Virgil. Well, yeah, they're sisters, but they're basically just Dante and Virgil.
But yeah, literally to the point where, yeah, like Ryoko wears red and Satsuki wears white, just like Dante and Virgil.
Yeah, she wears like white and blue, and Ryuko wears red and black.
Mm-hmm. And they even have two halves of a weapon passed down to them by their familiar.
Yeah, instead of the amulet, they've got the scissor blade.
Well, I meant the weapons, the Rebellion and Yamato.
Oh yeah. They do have basically the Rebellion and Yamato. You're right. So sorry for spoiling Kill la Kill, I guess.
Oh, sorry for spoiling a decade-old anime.
Yeah, I think we're at the point. If you haven't seen Kill la Kill yet, I don't know what you're doing with your life if you haven't seen Kill la Kill yet.
I don't know what to tell you.
But yeah, so that's the thing. Like, if you want to see a Devil May Cry, I mean, there's the Devil May Cry anime from like 2007, and then or just see Kill la Kill if you want like Devil May Cry in anime form, or you could also watch Hellsing too. Hellsing's pretty cool. Like that's like Alucard is. I think Alucard came before Dante, so I think Dante, Alucard was like 97, I think. So I think Devil May Cry is kind of taking from Hellsing, if anything.
Or just watch all the cutscenes from the video games.
Yeah, I mean, well, I would preferably play the video games, but if you want to, just
I know, but if you just want to watch it, just watch all the cutscenes.
No, I'm not gonna recommend that people just watch a game.
You know what I mean.
I know.
Obviously, they should just play the games, but it's like, if you just want to watch like an anime or whatever, just watch the game's cutscenes. They're fine. They're not.
But for it's a whole $10 on Steam for the HD collection. And I think you can buy the whole series for $20. So
yeah,
on Steam right now. So
there you go.
But that's all I've got to say about that. Unless you've got any extra points, we didn't like the Devil May Cry show, and I think it was a ham-fisted political mess and a glorified humiliation ritual. Do you have anything else to add?
I hope he gets fired and never gets work ever again.
Me too. But we all know that ain't happening. Yeah, I know. All right.
That's all I got.
Well, this has been Mega Rock'n'Rolla.
And the Gold Rat.
and keep
Keep
rocking.
rocking.